Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to the Julie Laughton Podcast. This month is National Homeownership Month, so there's a lot to discuss about that. And don't forget, before you start, click on the 7 simple steps on my website or go there after the podcast. Check it out. It's a wealth of information of everything you need to know about a project from conception to completion and how it all works. So everybody always asks me, how did I start? What was my background? How did I get into this? And, not to go way back, but I've been drawing and doing mechanical engineering since I was like 14. I like to draw, and I was always interested in being an architect. College was architecture and interior design. My first jobs were, architecture offices where I worked as a draftsman, and then I did the interior design also. But what happened is after I did commercial work in New York City for 7 years and got this killer, experience, I came to California and realized I really want to work in residential, and I like helping people. In residential market's a shit show, and there's all kinds of people grabbing your time and your money, and it's not very organized like commercial, and people break the rules, break the law. It's all kinds of stuff going on. So I really focused on helping homeowners do their projects right the first time by championing the project for the homeowner's best interest, not mine, not the contractor, not the decorator, not the architect. It's for the homeowner's best interest. So when you actually run a project to protect the homeowner from all the shit that can happen, it's a different perspective, and it actually goes smoothly. So that's how I got started, and that's why I ended up in residential. So the problem is your home, it's supposed to be your kingdom, your retreat, your castle, the place you go to hide out and recover and, relax and recharge. That's the word I'm looking for, recharge. Anyway, your home is supposed to be for you. So whether you buy a brand new home or you have an old home, of course, which needs work, even if it's brand new and it looks perfect, it wasn't built for you. So you still got to customize it. So I always talk about with my clients, are we going to move or are we going to buy a new home? Because I said, if you buy a new one, you're still going to have to customize it. You can't just put your stuff in there. You got to make sure it works for you and your family and your needs. So it's a big deal. And I specifically specialize in customizing people's dream homes to fit exactly their lifestyle. And I'm talking exactly who's living there, what they're doing, how do you entertain? All that stuff comes into play. So it's huge. And that's the part I like, customizing it. So here's the deal. If you look at my 7 steps, people always ask me, what do I do? Because before someone buys a home, a lot of realtors call me and ask me a lot of questions, and then I run through the whole process with the client. But there's so many things you should do before you actually buy the home. And that's on my little 7 steps. But before you even buy the home, you should consult a contractor to look at that inspection report that you're going to get. Well, you won't have it yet until you start the buying process. But what's going to happen is they're going to give you this ridiculously long inspection report. Then you got to know, is it worth it to buy this and pay all this money to fix it up? So the point is, who do you consult, before you buy a home? And yes, you should consult an architect, an interior designer, and a contractor. Or if you find someone like me that can do all that, you can consult someone that knows about the remodel and the construction process that you're facing when you buy a new home, if it's an old one. Now, if it's brand new, you might just need a decorator, or not, but you should consult at least the contractor about the condition of the home. And if you're buying a brand new lot, it's a whole nother bunch of people, like structural engineers. He doesn't even care. You got to start with the survey guy. Where are your property lines? What's the soil condition? And then go to the city and the coastal commission if you're near the water and find out what you can and can't do, because the person selling you the home might lie to you or not tell you because they just want the sale. So you need to do your homework. Go to the city, talk to a contractor, number one. And then if you're thinking about remodeling, get the cost, but find out what you can and can't do from your local and state government. And even check your property lines. I mean, where are they? Because in some cases, they're not clear. So that's my best advice on that. So another little tip before you buy a home, let's say you're in a homeowners association. You got to read those rules because you'd be shocked what they will and won't let you do. It's much worse than the typical city guidelines. Laguna Beach is strict because it has view preservance, and everybody complains about that, but it's for the best interest of everyone, you and your neighbors. But Newport Beach is a little less, but then both of them have coastal commission. But if you have a homeowners association, you got to read those rules because, oh my God, if you do something that you're not supposed to do, you can be in hot water real quick. And I have an example of that, of a lady who bought a house, and this is a $25 million house. So I suppose she thought she could do what the fuck she wanted. She paid that much money, but she cut down all the trees in the front yard. And this is a huge property, Pelican Hills, and she didn't bother to consult anyone I told her she needed to read the rules, but she decided to do it on her own. And she cut down all the trees, and she's going to have to put them all back. So these are full-grown trees that have been there 30 years. Good luck with that, lady. Anyway, but the point is, I had consulted with her before she bought the home, and she was one of those that insisted on doing owner-builder. So I squealed away fastly because she was, the point is you got to read the rules and you don't get yourself in trouble. So I have so many stories I could entertain all day. That should be a whole show of just me telling stories of how people make very stupid mistakes because they refuse to listen or just simply read the rules, or they don't want to because they really think it's my house. So I don't mean to sound terrible, but there's a whole thing about that. So everyone asks me, what should I look for? Or, okay, the people come to me like, I'm going to buy this house. What do you think? What do you think? And, a lot of this discussion is with their realtor, but if they know me, they loop me in because I'm their, architect, designer, and contractor. So I have a lot of answers for them and they like my opinion. But, the top 5 things to look for when buying a home is, of course, the neighborhood. Is it where you want to live? Some people just live places for status, and that's another story. But is it where you want to live? Is it convenient? Does it have parking? I mean, in some cities, there's very little parking. I won't mention the names, but everyone knows small streets, windy streets, no parking, and nobody uses their garages. So, and then the other thing is, does it have a view? I mean, what does, and the view to me means, is it a lighthouse? Is it a dark house? So, what would you have to do to make it better? So, and then the fourth thing is, does a floor plan work? Is if it's an old house, it's probably a 1960s outdated floor plan. So does the flow of the house work? And then the fifth thing is, does it have outdoor space? Can you actually make that work? So you got to look at all the kind of meat and potatoes of, what is this house? What would I have to do for it to make it mine? Because most of the old homes aren't today's standard living. They're not light and bright. They're not hooked to the outdoors, and the space planning is not open yet. So there's a ton to do with it, but it's all about where you want to live and what are you looking at when you're in the house, and, what's your quality of life in that house. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Julie Laughton Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the ownership of your home month. It's very important if you do own a home. So anything you ever want to know about home ownership and taking care of your home, maintaining your home, designing your home, building your home, check out my 7 simple steps on my website. It's so easy. You can print it and use it as a guide for all of your needs. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.